was what he stood for, his significant contributions to the Chicano community, along with some of his personal background, so that you all get a better sense of who he was as an individual. Dr. Ernesto Galarza was born in 1905 in Nayarit, Mexico. As a result of the Mexican Revolution of 1910, Galarza, his mother, aunt, and two uncles were uprooted and consequently immigrated to Sacramento, California. In his autobiography, titled Barrio Boy, he explains his first glimpse of class as he describes how los ricos, or the rich, lived in his town. These impressions on class would play a major role in his career as an activist, advocate, and educator. His experiences as a young boy ultimately defined his principles and passion to advocate and fight for the rights of the working class. Throughout his life, he advocated for the Chicano community on various levels, locally, nationally, and on an international stage. As a young boy, Dr. Galarza attended Lincoln Elementary and Sacramento High School. During that time, he also worked alongside his family. As a farm worker. Because he learned English early in school, farm workers that he worked alongside with asked him to speak on their behalf. As a young boy, one of his first experiences as an activist took place when these farm workers asked him to help them protest over the polluted drinking water, which resulted in the death of a baby and caused many others to become ill. This was the beginning of a lifelong career within the labor movement. Upon graduating from Sacramento High School, he did not intend to further his education. Fortunately, he was inspired by a teacher to attend college. He received a scholarship and eventually graduated from Occidental College in LA. From there, he began to successfully navigate institutions of higher education. In 1929, he graduated from Stanford University, earning a master's degree in history and political science. And in 1947, he completed his doctoral dissertation on the electricity industry in Mexico, earning his PhD at Columbia University in economics. Shortly after graduating from Stanford University, he met and married his wife, May Taylor, in 1929, and had two daughters. Between 1932 and 1936, he and his wife worked as co-principals and later became owners of Gardner School, which was an experimental progressive private school in Jamaica, Long Island. The school was known for its commitment to progressive education. As you can see, Dr. Ernesto Galarza had a deep appreciation for education. This is quite evident within all of his educational endeavors. Yet he did not attain these degrees to simply benefit himself, as many of us students here do not. He attained higher education to equip himself with a knowledge base that enabled him to serve as an advocate, to improve labor conditions of the working class, and also to improve the education system within marginalized communities. Galarza later worked as a researcher with the Pan American Union in Washington, D.C. from 1936 through 1947. He published analysis on education, labor, and the infrastructure issues in Latin America. Hired by the Pan American Union as the Chief of Division of Labor and Social Information, his task was to research labor disputes in Latin America. This job placed him at the center of more than one political storm in Washington, D.C. Throughout his life, Dr. Galarza fought for the improvement of labor relations, specifically among Mexican agricultural workers in the Southwest. He was a critic of the Bracero program, which was a program created in 1942 during World War II that allowed Mexicans to immigrate as contract migrant laborers. While some may view this program as a great opportunity for Mexican immigrants, Dr. Galarza proved through his research that this government program abused and exploited thousands of migrant workers. As a researcher, Dr. Galarza provided well-documented studies challenging the program. As a prolific writer, his best-known published work is Merchants of Labor, which was published in 1964. This publication depicts the abuses within the Bracero program and offers an account of managed migration. The work that Dr. Galarza has done within the labor movement is only one of his numerous achievements. The article that I chose to examine for the scholarship draws from local community activism. The publication is titled El Viso, Crisis of a Barrio. While Dr. Galarza is widely known for his work within the labor movement, I thought it would be interesting to learn more about his work within a small community and gain a local perspective on grassroots movements. In reading some of Dr. Galarza's work, there is one thing that is consistent. He is unwavering in his effort to record and disclose social injustices within the Chicano community. Whether it is in the labor fields, in political spheres, educational institutions, or barrios, he never fails to deliver his research with a genuine passion for social justice, often laying down the groundwork for his successors. In reading El Viso, Crisis of a Barrio, Dr. Galarza reveals how capitalism and urbanization can destroy a barrio and strip it of its cultural identity and space. His work and research within El Viso speaks volumes of how bureaucratic systems and institutions have the power to displace barrios throughout the nation. This historical process of expropriation of land has been taking place for hundreds of years within the U.S. However, and most importantly, he succeeds at revealing the power of the people within his work. Dr. Galarza explains how a barrio can, with some effort, resist these institutions of power within the context of collection action and education. Sorry. He notes at that, he begins by giving a brief history of the town of El Viso, as well as historical insight on the process of urbanization within barrios. He also notes that at that time, these issues affecting Mexican communities were not commonly explored within social science discourse. This lack of exposure was often a driving force and an inspiration in most of his work. Wherever there was a need for advocacy, he was there. In an effort to expose the issue of annexation and to educate the community, Dr. Galarza and a few of his colleagues took it upon themselves to construct a study team. The study team would not only disclose the injustices faced by El Visans, but their primary goal was to, quote, inform and counsel the residents to the end that they would eventually create and maintain their own organizational means for advocacy and action. This was one of his great legacies, to teach to empower. With great logical precision, Dr. Galarza's team successfully created an ad hoc committee made up of community members of El Viso, who then learned to navigate through political processes. Fire? The grassroots movement of collective action and education empowered the community to fight for their autonomy from the city of San Jose. Although the community was eventually annexed, the efforts of the study team proved to be significantly impactful and aided in the establishment of a movement of solidarity, which El Visans had never experienced before. Although mainstream institutions and dominant ideologies of capitalism and colonialism have proven to be very powerful entities, Dr. Galarza demonstrates that through research and advocacy, we as a people have the capacity to build and create movements that empower us to become active agents of change. The foundation that was laid before us to utilize our insight and education to continue to fight against such injustices. While it is an uphill battle, not all is lost. Today, if you go visit the small town of El Viso, it is evident that it remains a tight-knit community where the culture is rich. They may have lost the battle to the city of San Jose, but they did not lose their community and cultural identity. I like to think that was the work of Dr. Galarza and his team. Dr. Galarza's legacy is referenced within many political and educational spheres, especially within Chicano studies. He was a great contributor to our history in that not only was he one of the first distinguished Chicano scholars, but he also devoted his energy to building unions and establishing broader, more inclusive school curriculum. Even today, he is continuously referenced in numerous publications within Chicano discourse. Chicano Studies discourse. He was a man of great stature, yet remained humble. He was a man of principle who never sold out to government or political entities. He was truly committed to the people and to social justice. His unwavering commitment to research, organizing, and exposing injustices remains part of his legacy. He was one who definitely served out of the spotlight, a true unsung hero. He held numerous titles, too many to list here, but he was known as a prolific writer, researcher, organizer, poet, educator, and expert in labor policy and history. He wrote well over 100 publications, which covered the areas of Latin America, farm labor, bilingual education, urban sociology, and Chicano studies. His works are cited in virtually all major works on Chicanos and are represented in all major Chicano bibliographies. He also authored many children's books, most of them that he published himself. Personally, it is a great honor to be chosen as the Dr. Ernesto Galarza Scholar. I am privileged to have this opportunity to present his legacy to you today. He is a distinguished but humble man. He's one of our best. His voice of social justice, his powerful activism, his legendary Chicanismo reveals a true legacy. What I've presented is just a glimpse of numerous accomplishments through his lifetime. Now, as I reflect on the work of Dr. Galarza and his spirit of activism, I recognize the impact that it has had on so many, which serves as a true inspiration. It is my hope that you too are inspired and take the time to acknowledge those that have come before us in the name of social justice. There are so many that have fought many uphill battles for a just society. For those that needed to be heard, he spoke on their behalf. Not only did he advocate for them, but he taught them how to speak for themselves, which is his legacy, teach to empower. If I could accomplish just 1 ounce of what he did, I'd be content. In reflecting on his lifelong achievements, I think about the saying, how are you gonna live your dash? I remember coming home one day, as I walked through the door, my sister Sonia tells me, how are you gonna live your dash? And I just looked at her with this weird look on her face, and she's explaining to me that she was just inspired by this movie, in which one of the characters explained what your dash meant. So on your tombstone, you have your date of birth, and you have the day that you died. But in between that date is that dash. This dash represents your legacy. In reflecting on Dr. Galarza's dash, I am awe-inspired by his lifetime commitment to the Chicano community. When I feel defeated at times, I ask myself, how are you gonna live your dash? In the spirit of Dr. Galarza, I want to encourage you all to ask yourself, how are you going to live your dash? What type of commitment are you going to make within your lifetime to bring about social justice? As a student, a mother, an activist, and a proud Chicana, I fully recognize the responsibility I have for my community. There is an obligation that coincides with learning the history and injustices placed upon our people. Knowing that there were people like Dr. Galarza that have paved the way for us to succeed gives me a great sense of hope. Empowerment through education and advocacy was his legacy, and with every fiber of my being, I will carry on his legacy. We all have the potential to be part of that legacy as well. I may not ever become as renowned as Dr. Galarza, but I do believe that there is no contribution small enough that does not matter. The fact that I am standing up here today as a graduate student is a contribution to the current Chicana and Chicano educational pipeline. This pipeline reveals that only 2 out of every 100 Chicana and Chicano students will attain a graduate degree. I will not be defined by these statistics. Rather, I will actively challenge and change those stats. And I do this in hopes to serve as an inspiration to my family. all 17 of them. Some are here, some couldn't make it. They are our future legacies. It is our responsibility to lead by example. At this time, I'd like to graduate all of the recipients here of this distinguished award. We're all deserving of it. I wish you the best of luck in all your endeavors, and it is my hope that when we become established, that we can not forget the people that helped us out through our journey. And hopefully, one day we'll be able to contribute to this fund, to the Ernesto Galarza Scholarship Fund. There are many that have come before us, and there will be many that will follow. Let us not lose sight of the importance of paying it forward. To our friends and family, thank you for being our rock. Thank you for coming tonight on such short notice. My brother's here. I came home last night and there were flowers on the table. And on the card it says, "Sorry, I can't make it." And I just went like this. I didn't say anything, I just went. But he's here tonight. Thank you for making it out.
I think your sisters over here.
Yes.
And your mama.
I was in the speech, so I'm good, I'm good.
Your undying support is instrumental in our success. As students, we have an immense responsibility to uphold our visions. It can consume us, but please remember that we are attaining a higher education in your honor and for the future of our communities. With that, I hope that you will all walk away tonight with a greater sense of what one individual can accomplish in a lifetime. Dr. Galarza's spirit is relentless. His spirit reveals that we are a people with a voice. We are not just cheap labor. We are mothers, we are fathers, we are thinkers, we are doers. We are advocates, we are teachers, we are artists. We are lovers of our land and culture, and we are a powerful people. Every single person in this room tonight has the power within to be active agents within your communities. Just the simple act of teaching our little ones to reach for the stars is activism in and of itself. It is in the spirit of activism and solidarity that we can be heard. I hope that you all leave here tonight and you will tap into your inner Galarza spirit and ask yourself, how am I going to live my dash? Thank you.
Amen.